What's up, guys? My name is Andy. I wanted to do a review or a follow-up video on the Maier mod upper control arms that I recently installed. You guys probably saw that video, and I wanted to go over the various aspects of that upper control arm and what I've experienced so far. So let's dive right in. The first thing I want to talk about is the build quality. One thing that's great about Mike Maier, for those that know who he is, you know that he builds everything in his shop. They machine everything, they bend everything and form everything, and they weld everything in their shop. And it's kind of a neat operation to see something from the beginning to the end all in one place. You know, this upper control arm is TIG welded. You know, like I said, machined in-house. They design a lot of the parts of this themselves for the upper control arm, and then they send it out to get powder coated, which is fantastic. You know, I really like it when somebody puts a little bit extra effort in and powder coats something instead of just painting it. It gives a little bit more life, you know, a little longer life to it. So right off the bat, you realize that this thing is built really well, and you can tell by just holding onto it and looking at the part that it's going to be a quality piece. So after you're done drooling over the part, once you pull it out of the box, it's time to install it. And that's where this part is fantastic. Everything bolts into place as expected. You don't have to trim anything or cut anything or move anything. You don't have to worry about something not aligning. Everything just slides right into place. That's one of the other reasons why I'm glad I got that upper control arm, because it just fits like it's supposed to. The installation was a breeze. During installation, that I noticed that when I was putting the ball joint boot on, maybe I was doing it wrong. I went to slide it on there, and it doesn't lock into place or press into place. And when you put it on there, kind of the edge of the boot kind of squishes out to the side when you sink everything down and you tighten up the nut on the spindle, that bolt on there in the upper control arm, and it squishes everything down, pushes out the side a little bit. So when you put grease in there, a little bit kind of comes out, and you have to kind of clean it up. And again, I might be doing that wrong, but I'm hoping somebody can point out, no, Andy, you got, when you install it, you got to do something. You got to push this thing in here or whatever. So I don't know if that's a design flaw. It's likely an installation flaw. It's likely my fault that I wasn't doing it right. But anyways, I just wanted to point that out. Another thing that I didn't point out during that installation video is the ride height of the car when you're done. And this is because of the design of the upper control arm, the shape that it is. It actually raises the car, I don't know, about an inch or so, 3/4, something like that, because of the design of the part relative to the stock part that's on there. It's not a big deal, particularly for me, because I've got those coilovers. But for somebody that has a spring setup, that might be an issue for them. And you can always cut another coil or a half a coil or whatever. But it's something I didn't realize till after I was done with that video and I put the car down the ground, and you kind of have to back it out of the garage and back it back in, and just to get the suspension to settle. And that's when I noticed that the car was sitting higher. And the reason for that is, a big part of it is the motion ratio. The installation location of the spring perch on the stock setup, where it is relative from the pivot point that's mounted on the car out to the ball joint, it's about halfway out on the stock piece. So where every 1 inch of travel is a ½ inch of travel at the spring. So what I had to do was I had to lower my coilover about a ½ inch down or so, and that soaked up that extra inch that I had created with those new control arms. Not a big deal on my setup. If you have coils, again, you can just cut a half a coil or whatever, but you have to be careful, because if you were to cut an inch of vertical height off the coil, it's actually going to be 2 inches of drop in the car. So you have to be careful with that. I have a whole video a while back about cutting coil and how you have to kind of sneak up on it, and that's not what this is about, but I just wanted to point that out, to be mindful of that when you're going to set this up, that you will find the car will not sit at the height that it was before. Not a big deal. We can address that, and I did, and it was no problem. I also did another video where I put the lower control arms on here, and I didn't put Mike Maier lower control arms because I'm going to have them built. It takes a little bit to get those things made. I should have ordered them when I ordered these upper control arms. That's my mistake, but now I got to get in line for those things to get made. No big deal. I just ordered some stock units and put those in the car just so I can get everything freshened up. And once the lower control arms from Mike Maier are done, I'll get them installed, and it'll be great. And I'll do a review video then. So after I got everything installed, I had to go get alignment, and I just got that done. And what's great about, again, with Mike Maier setup is that he gives you a recommended setting for your alignment. You know, your camber, your caster, and your toe settings. And I took those numbers to the shop when I had my alignment done, and they did their best to recreate that. And you can see on the screen that the numbers they were able to pull out of this alignment, which is right where I wanted it. I wanted between 1 and 1.5 negative degrees of camber. I wanted right about 6 degrees of caster. And then for the toe, Mike Maier says an 1/8 inch of toe in, but at the alignment shop, they need to do it in degrees. So when you convert it from an 1/8 inch, it's about 0.4 or something like that. And they got really close to that. So again, right where I wanted it to be. I did notice though on the alignment when they were doing that, because they had to take some shims out and everything from what was set up before, and the bolt that comes with the upper control arm is fairly long depending on what kind of shims you need in there. And because of that, the bolt was so long that it was actually resting against the header. And I didn't realize that till I got home. And it's funny because I noticed that the car felt a little off. Like I could feel like vibrations in the car and I didn't know what it was. And it's because my header was resting against that bolt. So I was able to take that bolt off and just put a couple of washers on the back end of that bolt, on the head of that bolt, which just effectively shortens the bolt. And now it's not touching the header and everything is good to go there. So how does it feel? How does this car feel when you're driving? You notice a difference? And yes, I do. And a big part of it is that caster, that built-in caster that's in these upper control arms. It makes this car, when you go to turn the steering wheel, it wants to go back to center. That's what you want it to do, right? When you're heading down the road and you got to go around a corner, you want the car to straighten back out. It's more predictable and controllable when you know what the car is going to do. If you had zero caster, the steering wheel would not go back to center. Now, I don't know if any car is set up for zero caster. You want a little bit, but I have a little bit more than what the stock would be for this car, which is exactly what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to dial this car in for fun, for enjoying the twisty roads and the backcountry roads like I'm on right now, and just having fun with the car, flinging it around a little bit, just taking the corner just the right speed to where it's safe, but you're having fun. So would I buy these parts again? Absolutely. This is one of those things that I wish I would have done a while back. You know, as you're building your car and figuring out where you want to go and the path that you want to be on, you kind of figure out the parts you're going to need. And this is something that, you know, everything that I've done so far, I should have done this sooner. There's a lot of parts that contribute to how this car feels when you're driving, and these upper control arms is something that you can feel in the steering wheel. The way that this car is set up now and the things that I've done, adding a little bit more race kind of feel to it, it's just a little bit more than the boring stock feel that you could get with some of these cars. And I'm just having a blast driving it. I can't wait for those lower control arms. I'm looking forward to that. There's a little bit of adjustment that are built into those that'll help, again, dial the car in a little bit more. I'm excited. I can't wait for it. You know, something too that I thought I should point out, and most of you guys probably don't care, but this is not, I'm not sponsored by Mike Maier. I paid for those parts 100%. This is something that I believe in, and they have a wide range of parts for my car that you'll probably see me continue to install. I want to buy their parts. I want to put them on my car. This is kind of the path that I'm headed down, is the parts that he has designed and built is exactly what I want on my car. So guys, I just wanted to do a review on these upper control arms to give you guys kind of a little bit more information about them beyond what I put in that installation video. I just want to go out and just drive the car some more, and it's funny that I'm making this video and I'm trying to think about the things I need to say, but I'm also I just want to turn the camera off and just drive. And with this road as windy as it is, it's just so much fun. So speaking of that, I'm going to get back to it. I'm going to enjoy these curves.